Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Lock Shop, 11 o'clock right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. If you are hopping on board, make sure you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or at edmontonsportstalk.com. Fire the link to EST to all of your friends, so they too can join in on all of our live streaming over on TuneIn and iHeart and at edmontonsportstalk.com. If you're watching over on YouTube, you know what to do. Hammer the thumbs up, and if you have not yet subbed to the channel, we are creeping up towards 9,600 subs. The push to 10,000 before our one-year anniversary continues, so make sure you can hook us up with that as well. Would very much appreciate it. We'll get to, lots of Olympics to break down, obviously, as well. Trey Ford has been at least reported by Farhan as the starter. I don't know if I've brought Hassan on my Farhan Banya, Kenny Banya thing going on right now. We'll get into that a little bit. MLB Parlay coming up. Rugby Sevens, Canada is going to go for gold. Canadian men's basketball team got by Australia at the Olympics this morning. The Stingers and Sea Bears in an absolute classic last night. Maybe we have some time for some NFL futures. Who knows? Two guys and a goalie coming up here at high noon today on Edmonton Sports Talk as well. So be ready for that. Myself, Gager, and Cass. Lots to discuss for us there. We'll talk Draisaitl contract, Bouchard contract, Robert Downey Jr. staying in the MCU. We'll definitely get to that. Of course, Cass, Gager, and I are huge Marvel comic nerds. So we'll get into that, but let's bring in Huss from Winnipeg Sports Talk here on The Lock Shop, presented to you, of course, by Coolbet. If you've not yet signed up for an account at Coolbet, you're going to want to do that right away. Go to Coolbet.com, use the code LOCKSHOP when you do, and you'll get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to 200 smackaroos. Huss, what's going on, buddy?
Well, everything is going on right now.
So
These
much.
mornings where you're waking up in the middle of the Olympics,
I know.
and like it is on. It's so fun. Like, I would love it if, me selfishly, if it was in a North American time zone, because we'd get more in the evening. But I woke up to the rugby sevens match, and I don't know if you guys were paying attention to it. Like,
I was following along on the basketball game today. That was going on during our show, and then I was doing some other work in between shows.
Yeah, well, I remember you guys had, we're on the air. But yesterday, after we were done, I watched the Canada-France game, and Canada was a plus 500 underdog to win the game. They go in and stun the French. And have you watched much rugby sevens?
No, I haven't. I had it on my list here of, have you watched much rugby sevens? Because I haven't.
I caught some of the World Cup. I don't know, like it was in the States or something like that. It was on NBC, and I flicked around, and all of a sudden, like, whoa, this is awesome. And ended up watching it. And there are still a few things that I don't exactly understand, like technicalities of rugby, but you've got a pretty good idea. You got to throw it back. And you can't forward pass, you can kick it. And I love Australian rules football. Like that's a favorite. Get home from the bar and throw TSN2 on and see the Fremantle versus the Sydney Swans go at it. But this rugby sevens, it is so fast. Like, it's 2 12-minute halves. I mean, the games are only half an hour long, and you play multiple times in a day. Like, our women won the semifinal 4 hours ago or 5 hours ago, and they're playing again in half an hour for a gold medal.
Yeah, like during the show, they start during the Lock Shop.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to be, I told Remus that if this game is tight against New Zealand, the podcast is going to start 15 minutes late, and the first 15 minutes of the YouTube show is going to be a watch along of this game. It is incredible. And this Charity Williams on our team had Canada, again, to put it into perspective for lock shoppers, Canada was a plus 900 underdog against Australia. Australia was minus 2,000 to win.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of wished I had a little more faith. I mean, I just don't know these teams. You see odds like that, you're like, there's no chance. But anyways, down 12-0. And in the final 10 seconds of the first half, Charity Williams grabbed the ball and literally went the length of the field for a try. And she does it every time she goes in. Like it's not a touchdown or it's not a try until you put the ball on the ground. She puts it down and does a somersault every time she does a try. She had a sweet one against Fiji too. So all of a sudden it's 12-7 after the convert. And I think they felt like they had a little bit of momentum. They absolutely owned the second half of that game. And the breakout star for Canada, for people that hadn't paid attention to it, is this girl, Piper Logan. I think she's from Calgary. Dude, she has Janarian Grant speed.
What?
I mean,
come on.
She is such a burner, and she does this move. And again, like it's 7, so there's less players on the field. She'll get a little bit of open space and does a juke move as elite as anyone in professional football, and then just turns on the jets and goes. And but these girls are also so bloody tough. Like she got bent in half on the winning try against the Aussies this afternoon, and then there are running
she is
also.
quick. She is quick, buddy.
Dude, she's just
I'm watching some video of her right now. She's ridiculous.
So, anyways, turn this on in about half an hour and check them out. As I say, New Zealand minus 33 favorites. Canada more than 10-1 underdogs. But again, they just did it against the Aussies. So I rule nothing out. For our team. I'm just looking at these soccer matches. I can't believe this, but my soccer guy Parlay got blown up by Morocco. No, they beat Iraq. Argentina, they took care of business. Spain just lost to Egypt. That was not part of my plan. Hey, you know what? The big upsets at the Olympic Games. That is what it's all about. Anyway, I got to make something happen, and I am keeping my eye on. I just saw the incomparable Simone Biles do her thing. You know what's amazing about gymnastics? Like Ellie Black's in her 3rd Olympics, I believe. Simone Biles in her 3rd Olympics. Like, I don't know whether they've just changed the culture of the sport so much from when these girls basically were being abused 7 days a week in the gym, and they just could not wait to quit the sport as soon as they had the opportunity to do it. But don't you notice, like Biles, the fact that she's back, like 27-year-old gymnast didn't seem to happen a few years ago.
Yeah, so, she seems old. She's like a 29-year-old running back.
Yeah, that's 40-year-old hockey player.
Yeah.
I mean, anyways, there's been so much great stuff going on right now. Our Canadian teams are kicking some butt. Did you watch much of the hoops this morning?
Well, it was happening while we were on the air, but I had the live play-by-play of like the game score up, and it was showing like all the missed shots and stuff. Giddy had a great start for Australia, and then he slowed down big time. RJ Barrett with another nice game for the Canadians. SGA got into
led us in scoring both games.
Yeah, SGA got into some foul trouble early. We had a couple people. Rip City Step was in like a full-blown meltdown in the on the text line this morning, following along with his game. SGA got into some foul trouble early, and RJ
Two
Barrett,
fouls for 2 minutes.
RJ Barrett stepped up big time, and it was close. I mean, it was back and forth. Canada ended up taking control of it to go to 2-0 and have full control of the group of death. Australia is now at 1-1. Greece is at 0-2. And Spain is at 1-1. So Canada in the driver's seat there. That's good to see, and it's nice to see RJ Barrett step up. Like, you talk about SGA, you talk about Jamal Murray, and we know the playoff success that he's had. He's coming off the bench right now. They're going to obviously limit him, but RJ Barrett has been outstanding, Huss, and this is nice to see for this guy right now.
He's been awesome. You know who else is a guy that I don't think, like of all the NBA guys, might be the most or one of the most anonymous Canadian Olympians that's actually played a very important role, especially in the Greece game, is that Andrew Nembhard.
Nembhard, yeah.
From the Pacers. And he went in 2 minutes into the game for Shea when he was out and sort of steadied the ship right now. Overall, we've got some really really good stuff coming up, but the Spain game, I just did an interview on this for Winnipeg Sports Talk. The Spain game, there still is technically a way we could not make it through. If 3 teams finish 2-1 and the Greeks finish 0-3 right now, just because of the way things work. But in all likelihood, I think if France and Germany both win, then we're guaranteed to be in it. The bottom line is for this, like, none of that matters. We're going to get through. It's about where you finish after the group stage. And for Canada to beat Spain to get to 3-0 would almost assure them of a 2 or 3. Well, it would assure them of a 2 or 3 seed because they would have won their group. We have to assume that the USA is going to be number 1. So it puts Canada on the other side of the draw against a more advantageous opponent in the quarterfinal. And then presumably a semifinal against likely a France, Serbia, one of those teams. And then a shot at the United States in the gold medal game if they can keep it going. So really nice start. Did you see any of the Greece game on the weekend?
Of the Canadian one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched I don't know, like not 3/4 of it, probably about a half of that one.
You see the fourth quarter? Because the fourth quarter
I didn't watch the fourth quarter. I did not see the fourth quarter. I watched early in the game.
That was the thing. Like, yeah, if you watched it through the first three quarters, like, oh, great, we're in double-digit leads, no problem. They got it down to 8 early on in the fourth quarter, and then boom, boom, it was 12 or it was 13. And then all of a sudden, Greece went on an 8-0 run. Canada had a couple poor possessions. Greece cut it to 2 with 1:15 left in the game. And then Shea Gilgeous-Alexander took it over, drained the clock, did one of his little rainbow off the glass bangers in, and got it back up to 4. And then they didn't look back. But they really did get tested by the Greeks. They didn't cover the 7.5 in the first game. They did cover the 6.5 today against Australia with their win. They should be I bet they're probably a double-digit favorite against Spain in that next game. Let's see. They are 8.5 point favorites against Spain for that next game on Friday. And in all likelihood, Australia is a 3.5 point favorite against the Greeks. If Canada and the Aussies win, it'll be Canada first, Australia 2, and then Spain 3. And potentially Spain being like a 7 or 8 seed, if they can get through, but in all likelihood, two from our group. So I don't know. I'm just catching my breath here in between everything and keeping my eye on the Simone Biles show, as I say. But hey, shout out to our Canadians. And yes, I'm a rugby guy now, rugby sevens guy. Like I would love to go to one of these. Because the way the sport works, it's like kind of like a traveling circus. Like
they take everybody? Okay.
Yeah, everyone comes to one place. I think there's a big event in Vancouver every year. And they just stagger the games. There's a game at noon. There's a game at 12:30. There's a game at 1. There's a game at 2. Almost like, if you're in a badminton tournament or a tennis tournament or something like that. The fact that they play as hard and as tough as they do and then have to get right out there again a few hours later is incredible, because it's like a combination almost of football and soccer, the physicality of football and how rough it is and what it does to your body and the amount of running you would do in a soccer game right now. So I'm all in on rugby sevens. I hope that it's maybe covered a little bit more. We get a little bit more exposure to it, because
hey, we bring home a gold, buddy. That's going to change things. Like,
well, I mean, listen,
two upsets along the way.
At this point, I don't want to talk about that before the game even happens, but I can tell you that this is a huge win for Canadian rugby, and this women's team, regardless of what happens in this gold medal game. But the rugby sevens is up right now in Canada. Oh, the lines dropped a little bit. Canada opened at 10-1, and now we're basically back to where we were with the Australia game. 9-1 for Canada, a draw 18-1, and New Zealand minus 2,500. Canada, New Zealand 18.5-point favorites. So let's shock the world, ladies. Let's shock the world today.
A couple more things I want to get to. I want to talk about that Sea Bears Stingers game in a second. But just quickly on the Olympics. Do you remember back in school when you go into the gym and it was set up for gymnastics for like a month and a half in the gym in like junior high school? Dreaded that day. I absolutely dreaded when things got set up for gymnastics. I was like, great. Now we have to do this for a bloody month and a half. No thanks. I don't even know if they still do that at schools. I don't know if they set up all the gymnastics equipment for a month. But the worst part was, and I've told this story on my show probably years ago. Don't think I've ever mentioned the Lock Shop. But I sucked at all this stuff. Like I couldn't do the rings. I couldn't lift myself up on this.
You
I
weren't
couldn't
a
do
big
that.
pommel horse
No,
guy?
I was none of that.
Imagine.
I was none of that. I could barely do the bloody like trampoline up onto the pommel horse. So, but I had my gym instructor was like the head coach of my grade 8 basketball team. And he would always call me up to demo these things. And I'm like, stop it. Like, I can't do this. Like, call up one of these guys over here who's like in grade 8 and built like a 21-year-old who's just jacked. Instead, he's calling me up. It got so bad that one day I remember I was sick for a day. I came back to school the next day. My buddies were like, yeah, Mr. Rice called you up in gym class yesterday, even though you weren't there. He's like, all right, Dustin, come on up to do. I was just like, I couldn't do it. I don't know why he kept calling me up. So I've been like, I've had like gymnastics trauma since I was like 14 years old, buddy. It drives me. And my daughter, and Marshall's kind of built like me, but my daughter, like she loves gymnastics. Like she can do it all. I'm just like, you piss me off. Like I'm very jealous of you because I couldn't do it. And they kept calling me up. It was embarrassing.
I can see the Muzz flipping around pretty good.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. She gets
great.
after it. She gets after it, man. Yeah.
Like, you know what? Geez, your lifelong goal of being the teacher's pet basically blew up in your face.
I know.
During gymnastics.
That's what I get for being a good team player on the basketball team. I was just like,
did you speaking of that, it reminds me I don't know, this is a crazy tangent in the Lock Shop right now, like gymnastics memories of like elementary school, but were they still doing the Canada fitness test when you were in elementary?
I do. Like I think I remember
flexed arm hang, shuttle run. What were the other ones? If you're of my vintage in the chat, keep in mind.
It sounds familiar, buddy.
It's shuttle run, and you got the badge. Like you either got the gold, you got the silver, you got a bronze, or if you didn't get any of the three, you got the participation pin, which was, I mean, if you ended up like if you were a struggling young athlete, you were just doing anything you could to get a freaking bronze because you did not want to be like in today's day and age with how soft everything is. There's no way they're exposing some of the less athletic kids with the participation.
Oh, no, there's no chance.
Like that's not happening now. But I am wondering because I think, you know, in the 80s and in the 90s, I believe it still happened into like around thing. But you would know, like you would remember if you had those because it was a big deal when you got your patch, which was the kind of the equivalent of the Olympic medal. It was very cool.
I'm trying to remember if we had that like in elementary school. I don't remember it in junior high school, but I'm trying to think back on some of that stuff in elementary school. And then what did you say it was called? That was what really rang the bell for me. Like
it was called the Canada fitness test.
Yeah, something like that. I think I remember that.
And
Norman Combine over in the chat says I still have those badges hanging on my mantle today.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Anyway, gymnastics, man.
Norm, listen, we are not known as a nation of cheaters anymore. Bev Priestman, John Herdman, they can take the heat. Don't put it on all of our athletes. And as I said, if you missed yesterday's show, I'm still buzzing from that incredibly emotional win in France, over France, for our women.
The momentum
and tomorrow,
is there. It's there.
They play Colombia. They got to win to keep going. Although we will find out whether whether this penalty is reduced. Like they're not even appealing the coaches' suspensions. They're totally fine with that. In fact, they should trade a few extra years of suspension for them for less points for the athletes right now. But that game tomorrow goes 2:00 Winnipeg time. So I guess 1:00 in Edmonton. And if you missed what happened on the weekend against France, I highly recommend you book it off tomorrow afternoon and get in front of a tube and see if our women can do what nobody thought was possible when that 6-point penalty was thrown out. And that's run the table in an incredibly tough group and qualify and move on. Sierra Montenegro, we did it in grade 6 only. Yeah, that sounds about right. Grade 5 or grade 6.
And maybe that's why I remember it sometime from, maybe it was like a one-off or something. That'd be about right. Grade 6 would have been 2 years away from the end of elementary for me. I'm sure I failed miserably. I probably got the bronze at least. Would have gone bronze. Did you know one time, like you have track meets. Did you ever do track? Were you a runner or anything? Like, I went to the city track meet one time in high jump. And I don't know if it's just because like nobody else, and I was doing like the old scissor leg thing. I don't know how I didn't do well when I got to cities, but I came out of the school for high jump one time. It was kind of remarkable because I had no ability to jump at all. So I don't know how I pulled it off. Yeah.
This may shock many of you, but track and field was not really my forte as a youngster. I did go to a school in grade 7 that was known as a massive track and field school, like the best program in the city. We had a really nice track, and like a bunch of my friends were running cross country. So I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll go and do that. And I did it a few times, and I'm like, these people are all insane. Like, who does this voluntarily running around? I finished up the year, but as I say, a little gravitationally challenged as a youngster. So it wasn't ideal.
You know what we want to see young Dusty and young Huss in a jumping contest. That's what we need. We need to, it's like the whole Jay and Silent Bob when they were little thing. I want to see us in elementary school side by side. That'd be a lot of fun.
Not even shot put or discus. I mean, I tried all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of what I tried to go in the events where there was less people in it to, maybe have a better shot.
Hey, buddy, you're trying to increase your odds. It's not a surprise we're doing the lock shop today. You know what I mean? Like
that is exactly right. But yeah, you know what I mean? I was always more racket sports and I was good at them. So that was sort of,
yeah,
I would, tennis, and then I got really into badminton, played a lot of squash, and then football and hockey. So
I just played hockey and basketball. Like, that was it. A lot of hockey and a lot of basketball. And that was it. Okay, so speaking of basketball, do you know how much it sucks getting stung by Elam time? Like, the Stingers were 3.5-point favorites.
Oh, I know.
And up by 12. When we got to the first whistle after the 4-minute mark, and they were up by 12, it was like 2:54 left. And you're like, all right, well, now they'll go to Elam time. The race is to 88. They're already at 79. I think the Sea Bears were at 67 at the time. You're like, oh, they're going to cover this. 3.5, no problem. They end up, comes down to it's 87-86. And the Stingers win on a putback to win 89-86 and not cover the 3.5 that if there was no Elam time, they definitely would have cruised to. So, I mean, thrilling finish. Don't get me wrong. We were at that game last night. Amazing finish. But in my sports betting mind, I was like, getting screwed by this Elam time hard right now.
Hey, listen, there's 4 minutes left when it goes to Elam time. It's not like teams like Greece did to Canada can't come back in it. I had to laugh. That was a great picture, a great video of you and the kids and your wife there at the game.
Oh, they were loving it.
I'm listening. It's the best. I mean, you got a walk-off shot every single game. But I was actually thinking about you in that situation because I knew the line was 3.5 in that game. And watching the replay of that play, The guy went for 3.
I know he did.
To win. So that would have won. And who knows? Maybe he knew as well that the spread was 3.5, and they didn't just need 2; they needed 3 to actually make the people happy. So I noticed that the kids and your wife were maybe slightly more excited about the way that one ended. Listen, man, there was a game earlier this year in Winnipeg where the Seabears were 1.5-point favorites. And it came down to, and I will say this, a good friend of mine, who I will not mention, had a ridiculously large bet. I put it this way, the size, I was surprised that Coolbet was taking bets this large on CEBL games, just to put it up that way. And it comes down to, it's the score, I want to say it was 97-all, and it was going up to 98. So basically someone just needed a point and a 2-pointer. It was 1.5. The opponent who we were playing, I can't remember, maybe it was Scarborough or something like that. There was a great crowd in Winnipeg. They're all over the guy. He gets fouled. So he's at the foul line, needing to just sink one. Bricks the first one, bricks the second one. And then the Seabears jack up a corner 3 and win. And I'm sitting on the floor. I'm looking across at my buddy. And I'm the whole time I'm just thinking about this bet. I look at him. He's like, never in doubt, never in doubt. It was amazing. But I listen, I love the CEBL games. They are so much fun. If you're in a market like Edmonton or Winnipeg, or I think it's Saskatoon and Saskatchewan. Obviously, there's a Calgary game, Vancouver. Get out. It's going to be the playoffs right now. We unfortunately don't have a home playoff game. The Seabears are in Calgary for the first game. The winner of that one then comes to Edmonton. And the Seabears finally beat the Stingers. But if you recall last year in the Seabears' first year, they lost to the Stingers in the final game of the regular season, and then the Stingers beat them at home in the playoff game. So, first things first, they got to find a way to beat Calgary. But they would love an opportunity to come back to Edmonton and spoil the party, much like Edmonton did back here right now. I'm just going to look and see, do we have, I don't think the lines are up yet for the CEBL. But man, we've got a lot of other basketball if you want to bet on it right now. There's something just called the basketball tournament. And Eberlin Drive, we're waiting for, here's the line. If anyone can tell me what this is, I would appreciate it. Eberlin Drive versus the Happy Valley Hoopers.
What is this?
Team Colorado versus Forever Cougs. It's just called the basketball tournament. And man, the games are basically pick'ems too. So yeah, if you've got any league, and then let's see, what do we have? Liga Nacional Baloncesto Profesional. I'm going to think that is the Mexican Basketball League. That is playing right now. It's always amazing when you dive into Coolbet. You just see all the things in so many other countries. And this is usually the time that we pay attention to that sort of stuff because it's so slow. And we don't really need to do that during the Olympic Games.
What the hell is this basketball tournament? What is it? What's this? I'm trying to look it up here. Here we are. So the basketball tournament it was founded in 2014. The basketball tournament is an open invitation, single elimination tournament played each summer in the United States, with the stakes being a cash prize. In 2023, it was a $1 million purse going to the winner. The number of teams playing in the tournament has varied since its establishment, but in recent years, it has settled into a 64-team field. So it's just a 64-team, single elimination, open invitation tournament. So like a men's league tournament, basically. Like,
does it say where it is, like where it's being played, or?
It says it's on Fox Sports, and I don't know where it says it's being played. Oh, here we are. 2023 and 2024 were both in Philadelphia. The finals location was at least in Philly. I don't know if it's different along the way. It was In 2014, it started with 92 teams or 32 teams. Then it went up to 97, 64, 64, 72, 64. COVID year in 2020, 24. And then it's been 64 for the last 4 years. Last year, the finals were in Dayton, Ohio. This year, they're in Philadelphia, and the purse is $1 million. And you can bet on it. A Coolbet, apparently. So,
Yes.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah.
Learn something
What do
new.
we have? I mean, I'm, the biggest challenge right now is checking out everything that we've got happening today.
Yeah, it
here's
is tough.
a couple
You're right.
fun things, fun events today. The 100-meter freestyle final is going to come up a little bit later on. The Canadians, there's only one Canadian in this list, Joshua Leendo Edwards. But if you look at the odds for this 100-meter freestyle, you've got a Romanian guy, David Popovici, plus 220. And then the next two guys, Chalmers from Australia and Pan from China, plus 300 each. And the USA Jack Alexi plus 500. Like in almost every one of these swimming meets, the favorite is like minus
Huge
something,
favorites.
not necessarily Summer McIntosh. But that's interesting. That's a real wide open. I watched a few of those qualifying events a little earlier today. Oh, and by the way, Summer McIntosh, who won the gold medal yesterday for Canada,
She's a freak.
in the 400 individual medley relay. Did you see her time compared to the men?
No, I did not.
200ths off a gold medal in the men's.
Are you serious?
5.69, I believe, is what she finished up, and it was 5.67 was the gold medal.
Wow.
I mean, I've never heard of anything
She was
like
so
that.
far ahead of everybody else. Like,
I mean, and I'm not sure. Listen, I mean, there's tons of great women athletes, as we well know. I've never heard of any comparison in these sports. Like the girl that's winning the 400 meters in the women's track and field get on the men's court and go at it. But Summer McIntosh is literally right there with the best men's in the world. What a crazy athlete she is right now. This is going to be it. But yeah, today we've got the freestyle, and this is a wide open field. If you want to get on that, I believe that race is coming up in about an hour from now. I was looking at more Gen 30s here. Some of the other ones, the breaststroke is tomorrow. And we got the 200-meter butterfly men's coming up this afternoon. And Hungary, the Hungarian is minus 133 to win. That Leon Marchand that won the 400, that's the same. He was the one that was just barely faster than Summer. He's plus 185 for the 200 butterfly. And then this is more like it, with the swimming events. And then the next guy, Ilya Karin, the Canadian, who actually had a really nice run. He's 13-1 to win the gold, but he's third in the odds. So maybe we could see a medal for him coming up a little bit later on. I don't mind the swimming. I'll check in on the swimming finals. But I'm actually into some of the other ones. As I said, rugby sevens guy, soccer guy, and come Thursday, Olympic golf guy. And tomorrow we've got P. Greggy on the program to join us for Olympic golf picks. I am very excited for the tourney and excited for tomorrow.
That's gonna be a lot of fun for sure. Speaking of Pete Greggy, he sent us the link to that Vegas contest. Give you a quick plug here on the Vegas contest. If you want to win a trip to Vegas, they're giving away a trip for two to Vegas right now. This is at Coolbet. Go to coolbet.com. 2 round-trip flights to Las Vegas, 3 nights of a hotel accommodation, 2 tickets to an NHL game, 2 tickets to an NFL game. So for every $50 you wager in the sports book, or every $75 you wager in the casino, you'll earn 1 ticket towards the raffle. You can track your progress with the leaderboard, see how many raffle tickets that you've earned, how you stack up against others. How you earn these tickets is you opt into the campaign with the code CANLV2024. So CANLV2024. and then earn raffle tickets by making the bets. Like I said, 50 in the sports book, 75 in the casino. They'll get your raffle tickets. This started on the 22nd. It will go until August 4th. Accumulate as many tickets as you can from July 22nd to August 4th to maximize your chances of winning. You have to opt into the campaign with the code CANLV2024. And I think you can go see right now like how many tickets people already have and stuff like that too. So I'm just scrolling down the list. I mean, somebody's got 399 tickets. That's insane.
Is that me?
Nope. No, you got 7. I think you got 7, Huss. So you got a little ways to go. I'm looking for any other. There's Albie 26. He's usually kicking around. I know he's in the chat sometimes. He's got 69 actually. He's in the top 10 for tickets right now. So there's a few other ones that I'm sure there'll be some other nasties in there.
You can probably get some tickets pretty fast in the casino.
Oh yeah.
Like if you're doing like playing some of the slots or whatever, running it over. And you know what? Hey, while we mention this, and I just kind of caught wind of this one today. There's also for any of you that are betting on the Olympics, a nice little free bet promo for this Summer Games. Just go to the promo section. You'll see it. Summer Games 2024, $15 free bet every week. Click on that. Activate the promo. I just did. And if you bet $45 on the Summer Games in Paris, you'll get a $15 free bet to use on your favorite sport. So as I said, and I believe that's a combination. Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're putting 25 on the rugby and 20 on the soccer, 45, boom, $15 free bet a little bit later on. So we've got some great promos right now. I mean, the 20% win boost, which is an automatic for me every week when we're betting CFL. And then, of course, the UFC every Saturday. That I think is the best promo. I mean, bet 25 on a fight, and regardless of what happens, get a free $25 bet on Mondays. So, as I say, if you're doing it, take advantage of the promos. Just occasionally take a little trip over to the promotion section and see if they're dropping anything new. They do have some stuff for the casino in there. And then obviously a bunch of other things. But yeah, the Vegas trip, I mean, literally all you have to do is just opt in. So it's counting your bets for the tickets. And later on this year, someone's going to win an incredible trip to Vegas. And might I suggest you use that for the October 27th weekend. And you can go see the Chiefs and the Raiders. In addition, I think it's the Knights and Sharks, which is great. Through this promo, I realized, there's going to be a couple hockey games as well. Might have to get on the horn to my buddy Gary and get us set up for Saturday night.
That'd work out okay. Nielsen Huss with you here on the Lock Shop. If you are listening on TuneIn or iHeart or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, of course, you can text us anytime, 780-218-9999. We got two guys in the goalie coming up in about 20 minutes. We're talking some Draisaitl and Bouchard stuff over there on two guys and a goalie today. Hey, quickly, around the league, I know you'll be getting to it on CFL 110, which you guys do that Wednesday after the show, right? It usually pops up on my podcast.
Yeah, Wednesday after the show.
Trey Ford, Farhan Lalji, yesterday reporting that Trey Ford will indeed start against the Riders. I thought they might ride it out a little bit throughout the week before officially making that decision. Have I brought you up to speed on my Farhan situation right now?
No, I heard you mention that.
So I'm referring to him as Farhan Banya, like Kenny Banya from Seinfeld. Remember he wanted the meal? Jerry owed him the meal all the time. So Farhan, I mean, it's mostly on Farhan. Like, he came back from his vacation, and then they fired Chris Jones, and I was like, hey, man, like, can you hop on my show at 7:05 tomorrow to talk about Chris Jones? So 7:05, he goes, yep, for sure, I'm in. So 7:05 comes, nothing. I'm like, he screwed up. He's never up early. So I texted him, finally woke up at like 6:20, he goes, I'll hop on. He goes, I thought it was an evening thing. I said, what are you talking about? An evening thing. Like, I've been doing mornings for 15 years. Don't give me the evening thing. But so he pops on. He goes, I never do anything before 7 a.m. You owe me a dinner.
6 in the morning.
Yeah.
6 in the morning is like, that's a tough ask.
It's early for him. But he goes, you owe me a dinner. So I was like, okay. So we're in Calgary last week or 2 weeks ago. And he texts me. He's like, hey, come on over. Get me that dinner. I was like, you're like Kenny Banya. Like, you won't leave me alone. So I go over to meet him at local or something Joey in Calgary, just behind the Westin. And he's there with like a bunch of the BC Lions. They had like a wives trip. So like, Rick Campbell and the whole coaching staff was there and everything. So we sit down. I'm like, yeah, let's have, a little meal here. Everything's good. So I have full intentions of buying him the meal. It's like, it's on me. But then Dwayne Vanot, the president of the BC Lions, is there. He comes over. I know him from his Edmonton days. He's talking with us. He goes, hey, I got your guys' meal tonight. And I was like, hey, that's great. So did Dwayne cover off my free meal for Farhan, or do I still owe Farhan the Kenny Banya meal?
Well, I believe that the verdict is you technically do. However, like, did you discuss this with Farhan afterwards? Like, was this brought up?
Well, no, it was awkward because I walked out after I got back to my hotel room and I was like, wait a second. Does that count as the meal? Because he didn't pay for it. I mean, I didn't pay for it, but he got the free meal out of it.
I think you can wait this one out.
You think so?
I think you can wait this one out, as they say. Now, if he goes Kenny Banyan on you and says, hey, you still owe me that meal, I think it's somewhat you can say, you know what? Hey, I tried to do it. It didn't work out, but we'll do it again sometime. And then it's hanging out there. Yeah. But to your credit, you did show up, attempt to do it. And just because you're a good guy and doing a good work for the CFL, someone else jumped on that bill for you. So it is a gray area. It's definitely a gray area.
I would agree. And, we'll see. Next time, well, I don't know how many times he comes out. Usually he'll just do our games in Vancouver when I roll out there. What am I going to do? Take him out in his hometown for a meal? That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense either. So we'll see. We'll see. I just hope like 3 years from now he's not like, hey, remember that meal that Dwayne Vanot bought? I'm like,
If I know one thing about guys in the media, it doesn't matter whether they're at home, on the road, on the moon. They'll take a free meal whenever they get it. So if it happens in BC, I don't think Farhan will object whatsoever.
Duck Dad over in the chat says, time is money. You're free and clear, Dusty. And George Conlon says, Dusty, I still think you owe him the meal. Well, we'll cross that path when we get there. Anyway, Trey Ford to start against a really good Riders D here. Huss, do you think, can they give him a game and then if he loses, go back to MBT, or do you got to give him a few weeks here, do you think?
Well, I mean, it's not like he's never played before. I think you see, okay, I have a take on Trey Ford. And listen, I know there's a big love in it. I get it when you're not winning any games without him and you've seen some of the brilliant things he can do on the field. I mean, you get excited. Fans get excited. Media get excited around it. I have to think, and I know some people will claim that the reason why Trey Ford didn't get a fair shake with Chris Jones is because he's Canadian. And if that's the case, that's just complete incompetence by the guy that's in charge of putting out the best lineup, to help you win football games. And that could be the case. But I think we've seen enough from Trey and heard enough from him about, I don't know how great his attitude is. Has he been a great teammate? Has he done everything that you'd want your leader, your quarterback to do to earn that spot? I mean, there's a lot of really talented athletes out there that can do a few things that can wow you at all. Being the quarterback is like being the CEO, and you got to want to have guys to follow you. And listen, if he turns out to be that guy, great, and it'll be on Chris Jones. But I think there's enough evidence that the jury is out on all of that, shall we say. But listen, you're 0-7 now. I mean, if he goes out and plays really well and they lose a tight game, yeah, I mean, sure, give him another start. But put it this way, I mean, I don't think MBT, unless there's a spot someone else gets injured and you can trade MBT and it helps you down the road, maybe you go that route. I really don't know, but I'm interested to see how Trey plays, as the starter with the reps all week of the number one in practice. And listen, he's got a tough spot to do it going into Saskatchewan to take on that Rough Rider defense. They have been full marks so far this year. And as I say, let me see it against a good defense when it matters, not against the Ticats when you're down 33 in the fourth quarter.
What's interesting with this team is that they're 0-16 the last 2 years with other quarterbacks not named Trey Ford. They have not won a game without him. Cornelius was 0-9 last year, and MBT was 0-7 this year. So I mean, you can't really make a case for anybody else right now at this
The
point.
bar is
so,
pretty low.
Yeah.
The bar is pretty
Yeah,
low.
yeah. When everybody else is combined for 0 wins, there's got to be some sort of window there. All right,
Hey,
yeah, go ahead.
just speaking of that quickly, a little bit of line movement in the Canadian Football League right now. BC Winnipeg is still at 3.5 for BC. The Ticats are now 4-point underdogs at home against the Alouettes. So the Alouettes laying 4 in Hammer on Friday night. 5.5 is still the number between the Elks and Rough Riders. So doesn't look like anything has changed based on, at least the line based on the Trey Ford report. But the Calgary number has actually gone up. What was that, 1 or 1.5?
It was 1.5. Yep.
Now it's now 2.5 right now.
Oh.
So if you do like Calgary, that number's not quite as attractive as it was when it first got out. But we will make all our picks for the week on Friday, heading in there. But I've got some pretty good leans. You're not going to be there. Listen, let me just ask you this right off the bat before we get to the baseball.
Yeah.
Right now, you're looking at the lines as they are put forth when we're doing this show. If you're going to make one single spread bet this week, who's getting your nickel?
Oh, that's a real good question. Man, I think I'd probably say Calgary minus 2.5. I think 3-0 at home. The only line that's inside a field goal right now. I think I'd go Calgary minus 2.5 at home to wrap the week against the Argos.
Yeah, I don't mind that. It maybe makes me think more if it gets to 3.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I'm actually on the other side of this Montreal Hamilton game. I love taking the points with the Ticats at home.
Really?
And the fact that, oh yeah, like I think that Bo's hot right now. And I'll be honest, I just think that, like, I know Montreal had that great second half, and Davis Alexander came in. I think there's going to be a little bit of tape on him. It's a lot different going into a game where you are the starter as opposed to coming off. And listen, he was absolutely brilliant in that second half. But I think Hamilton's going. Listen, I think this game can be close a little bit. I mean, especially with it at 4 now. I am fully in on it. Oh, looking to see. We've got the
how's the sevens looking?
7-0 for New Zealand. So just one try so far on the board. But man, the female All Blacks. This
tough
is
crew.
That is definitely a tough crew. This is going to be a tough one for our Canadian women. It was the Braves screwed us last night.
I know. Not even close either. That was frustrating. They ended up losing 8-3, right? We didn't even get a sniff of that one. Yeah, that sucks. Sorry, everybody.
8-3 was the final one. And it was funny. I was following that Pirates game, and Skeens was great. He went 6, didn't get the 19th out for the over on that one. But they were down, and then they bring in Josh Hader, and he gives up a 3-run bomb in the 9th, the Michael Taylor, and the Pirates actually got that win. By the way, the Kikuchi trade to the Astros.
Yeah.
I follow a few guys in Houston. I've got a couple buddies, and I follow a few of their sports radio guys. They are freaking out with what the Astros gave up to get.
Was it a number 2 and number 5 prospect, and then the Wagner kid?
They are not pleased with it, with what they paid to get him. And I saw a poll. Do you like this deal? Do you not like this deal? 93% out on it.
Whoa.
And here's another thing that got my hopes up. Kikuchi leaving said just how much he loves Toronto, and he doesn't want to leave. His family loves it there. So listen, go out there, try and win a ring with the Astros, and why not sign there as a free agent in the offseason? The old Keith Kachuk move. Get traded from St. Louis for a bunch of picks, sign there 2 months later.
As for the quick little parlay tonight, I like Phillies Yankees over 9.5. Yankees bats have been absolutely crushing right now. Garrett Cole, I don't know if you've been monitoring Garrett Cole, but catching up with him. I think age is starting to catch up with him. Obviously, he's had some injuries along the way as well. His fastball has dropped 2 miles per hour in the last 2 years. By all accounts, I was looking over in the Action Network, and they said the wind is blowing out in Philly tonight. So that should only help these two offenses. The New York Yankees, in their last 4 games, they scored 7 in a loss to the Red Sox, bang out 11 in a win over the Red Sox, bang out 8 in a win over the Red Sox, and then hung 14 on the Phillies last night using the long ball a number of times last night. So I like the Yankees and the Phillies over 9.5 for my part of the MLB parlay today. Double play parlay. What are you going with, us?
You know what? I am looking at this Dodgers-Padres game. And I know if you look at the last week or so, Padres were on a 7-game winning streak before losing to the Orioles in their last time out. And the Dodgers have been, not so good. But I think both teams are kind of turning the corner in other directions. And I look and I see Tyler Glasnow on the hill for the Dodgers. Let's go. Let's see. Hold on a second. Let's see what the number is, if it's too much off. I was just looking at the pitching numbers. I always like that. But yeah, minus 133. Let's go with the Dodgers. Dodgers money line with Glasnow against the Padres, and the over in the Yankees-Phillies game. It's funny going over in that game just because, when you look at that pitching matchup, you're like, whoa.
I know.
But then you dig a little deeper into it, and both of those guys. Nola's been good. I think he's got 11 wins on the season, although wins not necessarily the best. He's got a 3.44 ERA.
Hush, check out that rugby. Check out that rugby sevens to the left of you.
Oh yeah, this is amazing.
That was a classic.
12-7. We just scored 2 tries.
We scored 2 tries. The boys say just 1.
Well, it says it's 12-7 now. It was 7-0 when I looked 2 minutes ago.
2? We scored 2. Canada scored 2.
Okay, listen. Let's get this up in the exclusives, the over in the Dodgers tonight. And everybody buckle up for what should be an absolutely crazy final half. Look at this. 10-1 underdogs. Can they do it? Against the All Blacks. I wonder if they did the haka dance beforehand.
They must have. You have to, don't you?
Those New Zealand teams, they beat their opponents before the game even starts when they do that. That's the most intimidating thing I've ever seen.
Makes me want to change the channel. I'm too scared. All right, that's going to do it for the Lock Shop today. Haas, you have a good Winnipeg Sports Talk. Go Canada, go. Good luck tonight if you're riding with us on that MLB double play parlay. I know Pete Greggy's watching. He'll get that up once again. We're on the Dodgers, and then we're on the over in the Phillies and the Yankees game at 9.5. 2 guys in the goalie coming up right away with myself, Cass and Gager. If you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, small dose of Whale and the Wolf. 2 guys in the goalie giving you that good hockey talk that you're looking for. Haas, have a good show today, buddy.
Thanks, dude.